9 years ago, Apple released the iPhone 7, the first iPhone not to include the 3.5mm headphone jack. It's going to replace my modern smartphone, and is it still usable almost 10 years later? Let's find out.
Inside this little cardboard box is my 32GB, 69 Australian dollar iPhone 7 from eBay. This was the cheapest one I could find that had decent battery health and no major defects. Has the phone arrived safely? At the very least, the seller had shipped it with plenty of bubble wrap. Eventually, I released the slippery little device from its wrapping. I see that the sticker mentions a passcode and confirms that this is definitely an iPhone 7. I'd say it's been pretty well looked after, but it is quite grubby, so a wipe off with some lens cleaner is a must. There are almost no scratches on the glass. In fact, this is the very first iPhone 7 I've ever owned. It was also the first iPhone generation with the Plus model featuring dual camera lenses at the rear, and another first being optical image stabilization on the smaller base model iPhone. It was definitely an exciting time to be in the market for an iPhone, but at least for the time, 1,000 Australian dollars for a smartphone seemed crazy. At least they still gave you accessories in the box, and I remember loving my iPhone SE back then. It was pretty good value. Does my phone here have any charge? Well, let's power it on and find out. Fairly quickly, we get to the lock screen, the password provided being 123456, and it appears to be running iOS 15, the latest version of iOS that this phone supports, and transferring over my nano SIM from my iPhone 15 Pro was super easy. The 4G Aldi mobile SIM had no connectivity problems at all. Apple kept the design very similar to the iPhone 6, with one controversial change, and what it lacks in headphone jack, it makes up for with a slightly brighter display, faster processor, and improved front and rear cameras. Honestly, I think they both still look great almost 10 years later. I'd rather have one solid rear camera, and the telephoto lens on the 7 Plus doesn't interest me much. It only gave you the equivalent of a 2x zoom compared to the main lens. One other change, which you might call an upgrade, is the Force Touch home button. It doesn't actually move when pressed. A vibration simulates the clicking motion. And while Apple did include lightning-equipped earbuds, the removal of the headphone jack coincided with the release of Apple's first AirPods. Many companies mocked Apple for removing the headphone jack.
Now, some people have asked why we would remove the analog headphone jack from the iPhone. I'm going to give you 3 of them, but it really comes down to one word: courage.
But pretty soon, they did the exact same thing. Even though I took care of my first-gen AirPods Pro, the left pod distorts, the microphone only outputs static, and noise cancelling also produces very loud static. One downside to the iPhone 7 is that the last update came out several months ago, iOS 15.8.4, and some applications no longer provide support for this version, sadly. However, older application versions are often available, not for Final Cut Camera though. Every other app I use on a daily basis is still functional, apart from the Australia Post app of all things.
Phones have gotten a lot bigger in recent years, and I'm very impressed by just how compact and small the iPhone 7 is. But you know what else is impressively small and compact? The Plaud Note, a credit card-sized AI note-taker. Capture your meetings, lectures, and face-to-face conversations with ease. And by sliding up the lever on the front, you can enable call recording mode, which works with all communication apps. You can do far more than simply capture your conversations, upload images, jot down quick thoughts, and highlight key moments with multimodal input. The result isn't just a transcript, it's a replay of your meeting, delivering insights that make decision-making faster and easier. It also supports 112 languages and speaker recognition. Powerful AI integration allows you to summarize key takeaways and decisions from the info it captures. There are over 3,000 templates to choose from and many customization options available. All of this in an ultra-thin, sleek aluminium enclosure measuring just 0.29 centimeters thick, and it is easily attached to your smartphone with the MagSafe compatible case. This insanely small device has 2 months of standby time, 30 hours of continuous usage, and the 64 gigabytes of internal storage can record almost 500 hours of audio. And the best bit is Ask Plaud. It's a ChatGPT-like feature that is compliant with data security standards and actually learns from your meeting history. Need to draft a to-do list? Ask Plaud. Looking for a conclusion for a report? Ask Plaud. There are so many use cases for the Plaud Note and Plaud's other note-taking devices. Enhance your workflow today with Plaud. Click the link in the description to find out more.
The last iPhone video I made was about the 6, and honestly the iPhone 7 with twice as much RAM is a decent experience. I don't find myself missing my much newer iPhone 15 Pro. The 4.7-inch display was easy enough to adjust to size-wise. I found it bright enough in most situations. I honestly don't miss the ultra-wide or telephoto lenses either. I frequently thought I'd forgotten my phone though, since it was barely noticeable in my pocket. And outdoors I do wish the display was brighter and an OLED though. A case would also help make it a little bit less slippery. The round rounded corners make it pretty easy to drop. And having large hands, I found it somewhat difficult to grip. Perhaps I'm just used to larger phones. I had no trouble using this as a phone. Calls were clear and sufficiently loud. And this was the first iPhone to include stereo speakers as well, and I was honestly surprised by their quality.
And YouTube playback is also decent.
For listening to music or videos, you can confidently do that without earbuds. Battery life is one of my only complaints with this device. You will not be getting through a whole day. And that's not due to the battery in here being bad, it still has 85% health, capable of what Apple describes as peak performance. But how does that performance compare to, say, an iPhone 15 Pro? Unsurprisingly, there's an enormous speed difference, but when it comes to GPU performance, both of the devices never completed the test. The iPhone 7 worked the second time, and after half an hour of trying and multiple attempts, the iPhone 15 Pro failed to complete the test. I guess that's one win for the older iPhone, and when it comes to phone gaming, I don't do it a lot, with one exception being old school RuneScape, which is an absolutely great experience on here.
One of the most important parts of a phone, at least to me, is the camera. So let's see just how good this thing is.
The 7 boasts an improved 12 megapixel camera with a wider f1.8 aperture lens. Macro photography is very good, nice and sharp with natural shallow depth of field. This phone doesn't have to rely on the ultra-wide lens like my 15 Pro does for close-up shots. The focus, at least in good lighting, was very accurate, able to get a good shot of Minnie, who doesn't sit still for very long. Sadly, beaches around Adelaide are a bit quiet thanks to the algal bloom problem we've got at the moment, but that didn't stop me from going for a nice stroll and snapping a few pictures. The auto HDR setting really helps keep highlights from blowing out in harsh lighting conditions, and this tiny phone can also shoot 4K video at both 25 and 30 frames per second, with the optical image stabilization doing a reasonable job with these handheld shots. Exposure was also handled well, even while facing into the golden hour sun. I'm very impressed by the rear camera. Insane to think this is a 9-year-old device, but its video recording functionality doesn't seem to fare as well filming in my studio. If you want to capture video outdoors in adequate lighting, this really does excel. And here's a Hyundai Excel race car. I tried my luck using the iPhone at a motorsport event near Adelaide. The strong wind did make the footage a bit jittery, even though I was holding it quite steady in my hands. And I've also noticed that it struggles to maintain focus on distant objects. And this is one shooting scenario where a good telephoto lens would have come in handy, I'd say. And a big congratulations to Todd Hazelwood for his winning co-drive. My brother and I have been fans for many years. Keep up the great driving. And surprisingly, the iPhone 7 got me from 6 AM until 6 PM on that day. And once again, that wider aperture is great for naturally shallow depth of field. No software trickery required. And just like in the iPhone 6S that preceded it, there's 120 FPS slow-mo video capability. Surprisingly, it also captures slow-mo audio to go along with the footage. And I highly regret using that push mower as our grass was a bit too long. I think this is still very impressive for a phone, even here in 2025. Low-light iPhone photography has come a long way since 2016. Compared against the older iPhone 6, the shallower depth of field helps isolate the subject from the background a lot more. But a phone is not complete without a good front-facing camera. How well does it hold up? The iPhone 7 boasted improved resolution and is now capable of video at 1080p, 25 and 30 frames per second.
This is a test of the iPhone 7 front-facing camera at 1080p, 25 frames per second. It's quite bright out here, so I might stick these shades back on.
The increased 7 megapixel resolution is also a great addition with selfies having reasonable detail. I'd happily use this front-facing camera any day of the week. Rain or shine, this is still a very usable phone, which was the first iPhone with water resistance. This was, as far as I know, another reason why the headphone jack was removed, although other phone manufacturers at the time had managed the same level of water resistance while keeping their audio jacks. The A10 Fusion chip inside had kept the iPhone 7 zippy, even after several iOS versions, and I genuinely don't miss my 15 Pro. Touch ID biometric security is still fast and effective. I dearly miss it on newer Apple devices, and Apple may have had their September iPhone event by the time this video is finished. There are currently rumors that they'll be bringing us a super thin iPhone. Will it be thinner than the 7? Probably not. And I love that you can pick these older iPhones up for peanuts. The 4.7-inch display does make typing a little bit harder though, especially if you've got larger hands. And once again, I'd highly recommend a case due to the slippery rounded corners. The base model iPhone 7 design was considered safe and boring at the time, but I think it's timeless. And the 7 stuck around for quite a while, as a legacy model sold all the way up until September 2019. Paying this much for one in 2019 seems insane today though. Perhaps you could call this design iconic. You look at this and you know it's an iPhone. One that I might just keep using since I've liked it so much.
Thanks for taking a trip back in time with me. I always enjoy making these iPhone videos, and I always seem to make them in September. That's purely coincidence, honestly. I'm not deliberately making them just because new iPhones are coming out at the same time or anything. Either way, I had a lot of fun making this video. Maybe you'll see another one next year. Have a good one, and I hope you've enjoyed.